Welcome back for match 2. We are on the play this time. This hand is interesting against Scam because I think it's just not very good. It's not great, but on the other hand, you don't really love to mulligan against Scam. So I think I'm going to keep. One of the first big questions will be, are you supposed to play DRC turn 1 or not? Because it risks playing into Bowmaster. My guess is I'm probably going to try to go DRC into Ledger Shredder. Just jam all my threats on the table. I'm not really doing much by holding up a Unholy Heat. And potentially I can, if they don't have Bowmasters, I can get the DRC going into something aggressive early. This hand is not very close to getting Delirium either, which plays a role in my decision making. Like, if we are keeping this hand, I'm not really expecting to get Delirium anytime soon. Oh, wow. Probably the perfect sequence to unfold there. Because now we get to Shredder. And probably get rid of... Probably get rid of this Unholy Heat. My thought being I might jam a Murktide next turn and just try to straight up race. I do think bobbling now could be smart in case they have Bowmaster. Molten Collapse, so that's good to know about too. Discarding a land could have been another option there, honestly. Maybe a smart one. Because now if we get Molten Collapsed, we're already on 4 lands, which is what I would consider a bit flooded. Draw a 5th land. Okay. There you go. I'm just going to play... I think actually Boltface and then play Murktide is the best play here. Kind of Molten Collapse checking them. If they do have the Molten Collapse this turn, we're in very bad shape. But this puts them on a faster clock. Not extremely scared about Ragavan. Ooh, Expressive Iteration. I don't want the Ragavan. They probably have like an Undying spell here, which I'm keeping in mind. So with that in mind, I'll go Bobble. Guess let's see what they have. Land on top. The Murktide was very missed in this first match. We saw a lot of cards, but did not see any Murktides. See, maybe that fortune is changing in the second match. Okay, so shoot us. Shoot us, and now let's bolt the Ragavan. We do have Ledger Shredder in our deck, so trying to think about how I want to play this best. Is it worth playing the land? Is it worth playing the Ragavan? I think neither. If we draw like Shredder, we could go Shredder plus like Ragavan, loot away the land. But this Murktide goes the distance. Sideboard. I'm going to do the same play, bringing in these. Let me double check how many Croxa they have. Just one. Yeah, that's what I thought it was just what Croak said, but I wanted to make sure. Maybe I want to cut these shredders entirely. Because we have so many answers, and then I can keep in the pierces. I never really thought Shredder was that great against Scam. They're on like 4 Fatal Push right now, not even Lightning Bolt, so it's just gonna die a lot of the time. The argument for Shredder is basically the graveyard hate that they use, but if they're not on Leyline in the Void, I don't think that you need to keep Shredder in your deck. Alright, this hand has to be a mulligan, despite having double Murktide. We just have no way to answer their early pressure. They are very much an aggro deck. Alright, I like this hand a lot more. We can put back a bobble and be pretty happy with this. Thoughtseize turn 1 is going to take away our Murktide, but that's okay. Draw Stern Scolding. Pretty happy with that draw. Another Unholy Heat. Not in love with another Unholy Heat. Simply because we already have 2, but yeah, I think we should fetch that away, grabbing a Steam Vents. I'm more worried about something like Hearse here than I am about like a Dothy Voidwalker, because we already have this double Unholy Heat in hand. Getting Steam Vents here, because if we get Island, I think Stern Scolding is a little obvious. Okay, they do have the Hearse. Well, the good news is, I mean, this Hearse is going to delay our plan a little bit, but we do have double... double Cast into Fire in our deck. So we probably can eventually deal with the Hearse. The big threat now will be Shieldred. And then Fable, also kind of annoying because it gets some value, some pretty good value. Hoping their hand contains a lot of like Dothy Voidwalkers and Bowmasters. And Ragavans, if they keep those in. Alright, so they miss a land drop, which tells us their hand is 5 spells, now 4, I guess. I like cracking the bauble now. Counterspell would alleviate a lot of the, or would be a good card to find to shore up some of the holes that we have here. I actually am wondering about maybe cutting some counter spells in the matchup because we have the 4 Stern Scoldings, but I still tend to like counterspell. Just it doesn't catch you up on board, but it's always going to trade 1 for 1 from behind board, which is like important for the cards like Fable. Also for protecting Murktide from a Molten Collapse, which can be a really key interaction in the matchup. Iteration's a nice draw there. I think now I want to wait a turn on the iteration. Yeah, let's wait a turn. Not a ton of punishes, basically just like 2 more copies of Thoughtseize for waiting a turn. Dothy Voidwalker, a card I'm happy to use my Unholy Heats on. Guess I should have probably fetched in response. They could have like Undying effect here. That's fine with me. If they do. Ooh. I would have liked that Mishra's Bauble off the iteration. A Ragavan in a dream, baby. Ragavan in a dream. I'm gonna play the Bauble but not use it just in case they do have double Bowmasters. Or, well, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. There's a push here. Actually, I will use the Bauble. Blood Crypt. Okay. This will allow them to play Shieldred if that's what they have. No, I think I'll still stick to bolting this Stothy. I guess I can crew the hearse. Crank us. For 8. Ouch. Maybe that was a reason why I'm supposed to not do that, but... Alright, go to 6. Now we can't let any creatures resolve, which is, I guess, mostly a problem if they have a Shieldred. Alright, let's think about this. They could easily have another push here, which would make the Ragavan a bad play. Expressive Iteration could find Cast into the Fire, which would clean up the hearse, which seems pretty valuable. It also gives us Delirium. And lets us hold up Stern Scoldings. Yeah, I'm kind of in for this Expressive Iteration. Alright. Guess we take Expressive Iteration to hand, play an island, and... Are we dashing Monkey or just casting it, actually? I think we're just casting the Monkey, holding up double Stern Scolding. Really hoping to avoid Shieldred here as the big kind of crushing blow, or Fable of the Mirrorbreaker. I did kind of expect them to have a Fatal Push there, based on the fact that they weren't playing anything. Yep, need to dodge Shieldred, and need to dodge Fable. Grief. I think to me this means they have Fable or Shieldred and we're dead. Yep. Oh, Grief. Okay, never mind. I thought they knew about the double Stern Scolding. Maybe they... Oh, no, they didn't. They didn't know about double Stern Scolding. Okay. Well... Now that puts us in a pretty good position. I think hard casting the first Grief... Or did they know about both Stern Scoldings? They thought seized us? They might have known about both. Yeah, I think hard casting the Grief first is the better play. Unfortunately, this is still very dicey for us. Because any creature top deck could just make us chump block with this Murktide. Almost to the point where I want to preordain, looking for that cast into fire to answer their hearse. It's a pretty tough call though, because while any creature makes us chump block, I guess it's still just best to preordain first. If they do use the hearse, that's okay. The Murktide's a little bit smaller, but we can still play the Murktide, right? So if we find nothing, we play the Murktide anyways. But if we find Cast into Fire, then we're pretty happy about that. 8, 9. I think let's go top. And then pass. And I'm not going to use the Cast into the Fire until they activate Hearse on their end step. With the thought being, maybe they don't go after something different depending on the fact that we found Cast into Fire. Like, they take away Delirium here. But now we have more stuff for our Murktide to be big. They draw a land. Oh, that lets them fire up the Hive of the Eye Tyrant. Puts us to 3. We have double Unholy Heat in hand. Well, it looks like we're going to be double Unholy Heating. That's an interesting choice to hit the land. I guess they're trying to keep us further away from Delirium, because they... Do they know about Unholy Heat? Maybe they know about an Unholy Heat. Seven in play. I think we're mostly... Oh, passing. Does Hive not have... It does have Menace, so they didn't go for it. I think they know about the... I think maybe they know about Unholy Heat. Is it possible they drew... Is it possible they drew Bowmasters and we're supposed to respect that? Because if they drew Bowmasters... We are still... Well, if they know about the Unholy Heats... What is in our revealed card zone? Okay, I think these Unholy Heats are revealed. So in that case, I think we're not supposed to affect... If they have Bowmasters, they play Bowmasters. And then what? They put us to 2. If they know about the Unholy Heats, they don't attack. But then next turn, we can, like... We don't have much going on that's going to help us. Also, if they had Bowmasters, I think they're probably supposed to play it main phase because the risk of us drawing Stern Scolding becomes higher, right? Like, you don't want to give us draws towards Counterspell to beat you. Especially when we went top with the Murktide. Okay, they have Bowmasters. Everything I said out the window. Just forget it. I lose. Really interesting spot. I'm not going to say I fully understand the play because I went top, and then I drew... Maybe I'm not supposed to top the Murktide, but my fear was like a Thoughtseize. But they already gone through 2 Thoughtseize, so maybe bottoming the Murktide's fine. We're going to draw Island anyways. I think playing the Bowmasters at instant speed is interesting. What had we gone through? We had shown them... 2 Scoldings of 4... and 0 counterspells. You just get your Bowmasters counterspelled, you lose, right? Or like you can't do the Ive play. If you main phase the Bowmasters, it's more likely it's gonna force me to keep back Murktide. I wish I had remembered if they knew about the Unholy Heats or not. That's the other factor there that probably matters. If they knew about the Murktide, or the 2 Unholy Heats, then their play kind of screams Bowmasters, but if they didn't know about them, or no, if they didn't know about them, their play screams Bowmasters, sorry. Okay, I like this hand. Opponent mulligans. I don't want another land immediately. I mean, I guess we'll draw... Do we want to draw both of these or not? That's the question. I think not. We'll take the Heat, but not the Brotherhood's End, because we have Spell Pierce already for a Hearse. And if they Thought Seize us, I think they have to take Murktide over Pierce, because it risks us having like a fetch land. They do Thought Seize us. If they take the Pierce and then we have draw a fetch land, we get to play Murktide. Maybe they don't care though, because they have a Terminate. If they don't take Murktide here, I'd expect they have Terminate in hand. I think bottoming both of these is okay. The Spell Pierce, because we'd rather protect our iteration than just let them have the choice of taking it. Alright, iteration. Spell Pierce to hand. Spire Bluff to play, and we'll cycle this Bauble now. I guess we should cycle the Bauble. No, we should do it next turn, I guess. Or in their upkeep. In case they do Thought Seize us again. Maybe we want to let it resolve. Bowmasters. Alright, so they kept a 1-lander and it hasn't panned out quite yet. If we draw Murktide here, game's probably over. If we don't though, we draw 2 lands. Alright, well the game continues. They find land number 2. We know Bowmasters is coming. And we are just super flooded. Not an ideal spot to be in. But again, still, if we were to find Murktide, we're going to be very winning. Part of why I like having 4 Murktides in my lists. Fatal Push. Alright, well we already knew Ragavan and DRC would be bad draws, so I'm not too worried about that. Let's bolt those Bowmasters. Keeping Unholy Heat because it has Delirium. And that means we can clean up a... Ugh, Ragavan, not good. I assume they have like another Bowmasters here. Maybe we draw Stern Scold. We draw Murktide. Attention, as Mengu would say. Attention. Let's play an 8/8. You die in 2 turns. And if they go for Molten Collapse next turn, then we can Spell Pierce it and follow that up with... Okay, Fable. It's pretty juicy to Spell Pierce this. But they could still have the Molten Collapse. We can Spell Pierce and then potentially... I think we're still supposed to Spell Pierce. We get to dash in a monkey. What does that do for us, though, to be honest? I mean, yeah, I think we're supposed to Spell Pierce this because if they just find a land off it, then the Molten Collapse can't be Spell Pierced anyways. Let's see what they do here with this Orb. I assume, yeah, no attacks, but... We'll dash in the Ragavan while we can. Does that change things? Probably does. Let's start with an iteration. Can we find a counter spell? I was considering the Preordain there because finding another Murktide would be so good, but my thought is if we do this, they have to either kill Ragavan on their turn or we have Counterspell Stern Scolding up. This is bad if they have land, if they have Bowmasters and Molten Collapse, it's really bad for us. Don't do that, please. Please, no. Okay, Fatal Push is fine. Because now we can dash this, start dashing this Ragavan. Bold's a pretty good draw. Another push. This man is made of pushes, but we're made of counters. Bowmasters. I don't hate it. Put them down to 4. We have this Bolt, which gives us 2 lethal bodies. And the dash Ragavan still. If they counter with their own Bowmasters, we still kill them. Ragavan. No, 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 opponent. No, no, no. Hearse, that's fine. Hearse does nothing here. Alright, we just dash. Technically, we are supposed to... I mean, it just doesn't matter because we have the Bolt also, but... Unholy Heat, they can't crew the Hearse this turn. Alright, and we win the match. We'll see. Maybe we can get one more match in. See you guys.